Coming up today on Locked On Texas Tech, Christian Anderson does Cincinnati every way but right, as the Bearcats just not quite big enough in the britches to keep their winning streak alive.
You are Locked On Texas Tech, your daily podcast on the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Great to be with you again on Locked On Texas Tech on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, always free and available on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts. Now the number one sports podcast network in the world. This episode brought to you by FanDuel. Use your profit boost on an NBA future and get entered for your chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals. Play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. With the only Chris Level, I'm Casey Cowan. Chris, great to be back with you once again on the other side of a dub. Red Raiders get another one, this one against the Bearcats of Cincinnati. Come to town packing a 4-game win streak, but it ends in Lubbock. Plenty to get to from the affair at United Supermarkets Arena, including questions from the viewing and listening audience pertaining to the officials, as in, como se dice, what in tarnation was playing out before us. We'll get to that coming up in just a minute. But on the floor, between the lines, in the unis, red and black, the good guys, putting on a show, Chris. And I got to tell you, given the way we talked about this matchup going into the game, how much the front court was going to be challenged, boy, it was scratching me right where I itched to see what we were seeing. Because at the end of the day, I just wondered, was Cincinnati too small? Which was not a question that we asked going into the day, because in the paint, you're handling them. At the rim, you're handling them. On the glass, you're handling them. Kind of in an atypical way I'll get to in just a moment. And all that combined with a totally all-out kind of night for Christian Anderson. Just a few assists actually shy of a triple-double. Makes for a very satisfying win in front of a raucous home crowd.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that like Cincinnati necessarily turned into a pumpkin or anything like after winning 4 in a row and went back. But I think this is a credit to your point guard, your team learning how to adapt and play a bit of a different way. There was, again, more dunks, more free throws made than they attempt. And, you're starting to figure some things out. But, I mean, your point guard, Christian Anderson, he's just playing a different game than everybody else is right now. I mean, in these 2 games without JT, 26 a game, 8 rebounds, 8.5 assists. I mean, in this league, I don't give a damn who you are, who you're playing against. That is just monster for a 6'3" point guard that is just playing at a different level. I don't know other way to say it. And I'm afraid that this is all great, right? But I mean, you better appreciate it and enjoy it, because the time in a Tech uniform is running out. That's just the reality of what we're seeing here. And that's awesome. We're just going to think about it and how it affects us and all those things. But this kid's he's just different. And I've said it before, but I'm just not so sure. He's not the best that's played point guard at your school. And that's hefty praise, but that's just what we're seeing here. I think the rebounding aspect of this, because we knew about their size, and you saw a little bit of that causing you some problems, but the rebounding aspect of this thing is just fascinating. And while Luke and Mariel and Josiah Mosley and Lawan don't register a crazy number of boards, them rebounding, them blocking out allows the rebounding for these guards. So it's kind of a teamwork in that aspect, but you got to have guards that are willing to get in there and get dirty and go in with the size and go get them. And you've got 2 guys that did it. I mean, they combined for close to as many rebounds as Cincinnati had as a team. And you rebounded half of your misses. If you look at it here, you yeah, you missed, 15, 16, 18 shots, somewhere around there, and you had 12 offensive rebounds. I mean, so you're getting close to where you're rebounding half of what you miss. But it's just this was it takes a village, it takes a team effort and all that. But yeah, the rebounding battle really stuck out because you housed these guys. I mean, it wasn't even close, and that's what Wes Miller basically said after the game. He's like, they crushed us on the glass, and that's what Grant told me after the game, and that's where they had seen. That's how Cincinnati was winning games. They were playing basketball in the paint, and then they were kicking it out for open threes, and their guys were knocking down the open ones. But you just didn't really, other than the first 5 to 7 minutes of the game when they could not miss, you weren't allowing them to play that way. And once you got ahead, they're just a team that struggles to come from behind. They're just not built that way.
I'm glad you break it down that way because when you're looking just from a numbers standpoint at Anderson and Petty's rebounding numbers, and you're thinking, wow, but there's a reason why some of that's playing out that way. And the village aspect of it, not only from a rebounding perspective, but I thought and just always was so much fun to watch. A lot of that showing up defensively. Chris, I'm having fun sometimes being confused on who exactly blocked the shot because there's like 3 pairs of arms in the vicinity. I like it when it could be Mosley or Bomboye behind him or whoever. There are a couple of those situations showing up again. The village aspect and the angle on what this team is doing together is fun to watch. I think both ends of the floor, and that rebounding example is just one of them. But was curious to hear about what you thought of the defensive effort because I thought in so many ways, again, the movement as a unit. And this was coming along as the year was going on. So this is not like some fresh new innovation, I don't think, but we understand the challenge in losing a central figure to that. The team defense aspect of it, I just feel like continues to trend in a very positive direction, even withstanding the loss of Toppin.
Yeah. And Grant, hey, look, I'll take this problem if this continues because it's a nice problem to have. And I get his point, but he's like, we didn't get enough of those block shots. And what he means is like you block it, but it's like they got too many. I don't remember the number. I don't remember how many of the 6 blocks what you registered that you let Cincinnati get back, and then it kind of creates a different opportunity. And but that's again, it's the fact that you've got some rim protection and you've got. I mean, how freaky is Mosley, man?
Yeah, there are good plays, and then there are good plays that get people out of their seats. Does he only do the kind that gets you out? I mean, he had the dunk and then the block in 10 seconds in one straight.
You're seeing some flashes. His problem, or what needs to be worked on or better, is his level of competitiveness for longer stretches. Because I think that there's some things that he's got that you simply cannot teach. There's nobody in the gym that can do some of what he was doing there. I don't care who he's playing for. I mean, he was I've said this or asked about him before to somebody that would know, and they're like, well, there's a reason he was one of the top players in the state of Texas, which, again, is heavy steps. But it's just he probably needs a full off season. He needs a full go of playing through the summer and kind of working on, the motor and being able to redline it a bit longer than right now. He's still, because I mean, again, he's just been playing for a month. All the rest of these guys have been playing for, countless hours and all that, and he's just kind of ramping it up. But I think if you can kind of just work on the stretches that he can give that to you, because man, he's just he's a unit, man, and your boy is bouncy. Mm-hmm. He can get up. And it's just it's a different level of athleticism than I think that the rest of your team kind of possesses. So, and he'll show it off. I mean, he's not trying to pick his spots. He's just playing the game. You just kind of need some of that for longer stretches. What you can't ask him to do specifically.
First, today's episode brought to you by TurboTax. And tax season doesn't have to take over your life. This year, TurboTax is making it easier than ever to just hand things off and move on with your day. With TurboTax full service, you can have your taxes done for you by a trusted local expert, start to finish, without any stress or guesswork. So instead of spending hours trying to figure out forms, you can meet with a local TurboTax expert in person or connect online, and they're going to handle everything from W-2s to self-employed forms. And of course, they'll work to get you every deduction. It's a huge time saver and will give you real peace of mind knowing an expert is handling it all. For a limited time, you can have your taxes done right now by a local TurboTax expert for only $150 all in if a TurboTax expert didn't file for you last year. Just file by February 28th. Take taxes off your plate and get back to your life. Visit TurboTax.com/local. That's TurboTax.com/local to book your appointment today.
You can't ask him to do specifically, and I don't think Luke is the same way. You just don't have a traditional back to the basket player, like throw it to them and, hey, go give me a bucket. They need to play off of everybody else, and they're dirty work guys. They are playing off the pick and roll. They are let me go offensive rebounds. Somebody go get it up on the rim. Let me go get it. That's who they are. Because if you're going to ask them to, facilitate or to create, that's just not who they are. But if they're allowed to, and that's why it's working so well, because you've got Lawan and Petty and Atwell and Christian that can go get shots up and kind of facilitate and use those pieces to their benefit.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned Lawan, because I thought while the first half was a different story, the second half where he contributes 11 of his 13, I thought he's strung together a couple of nice games here.
And he's getting to the free throw line.
Mm-hmm.
That's, he's 5 of 6 from the stripe, and he's getting to the free throw. And that's what Grant is like, look, we are different without JT. But one of the things that we're doing, again, we're seeing more dunks. Okay, that's the way we talked about that the other day, and it continued against Cincinnati. So Kansas State, now Cincinnati. But you're also really getting to the free throw line a lot more. Is that because you are in your gym? Maybe some of that, but it's also because you're playing a different style, I think, and you've got guys like Lawan that I think are starting to lean into some of this. And I was worried about him operating in the paint because he's going against guys that are, 4, 5, 6 inches taller than he is.
He was rebuffed a couple of times and had to kick it back out. Yep. And Chris, I'm glad you brought that up. I'm in my seat, and my just instinct, it's like involuntary. A couple of times I'm like, go up. Are there times where he should attack, or is it just stupid? And it's always, hey, look for a different play.
I think there are times when he should take the perimeter shot. Instead, he passes that up. And I get the patience part, but in some of these games, you may not get anything better. And I'm okay with him pulling the trigger. I mean, I don't think you can do that all the time. And there's certainly a time and place where you need to create some rim pressure and put some, kind of get some paint touches and play inside out and all those things. But there are times when he's too willing to shot fake, because it's like, okay, I'm going to shot fake you, and then I'm going to penetrate. Well, now what? I can't do anything with it when I'm in there against that kind of front line that's 6'11" and 7'2". Yeah. But he figured it out. I mean, I think he kind of stayed with it. And what we've talked a lot about Lawan lately, and Grant kind of touched on this after the game last night, but this is what you have to know about him. And I know that everybody, hey, the turnovers, or they get frustrated with him, and he's supposed to be this and he's supposed to be that. He is he's grown a lot in this year. He is much different mentally than he was at the start. I think he now, I don't want to say like he had a hard time with Grant's coaching at the beginning, but you're asking him to do a lot. But now he's embracing it and running toward it. And he's just a pleasure to be around. He's happy. He smiles. Because he gets compared to Darion a lot, right? This is kind of who he was here to replace. I just think it's important to note he wants to play. He's not opting out of anything. He's battling through his own nicks and bruises and all those things. You're not keeping him off the floor. And I'm not getting into all that. I'm just saying that it's fair to wonder aloud, was some of your roster last year, were they willing to play when they could have?
Well, I was wondering aloud. I'm doing it right now, Chris, if you would only bring that up because it's a contrast to maybe the guy that was here previously.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just wondering aloud, but maybe so. But we talked about this weeks ago. Like, there's always this sort of point. You arrive in the Big 12, you arrive under Grant's coaching. Are you going to acclimate to it or not? And there's like this point where you decide, do I shrink away or do I kind of, grind through this and then probably come out better on the other side? And he's in a key spot. He is a key factor to whether or not Texas Tech is making noise or not. So that's in large part, I think, why the microscope is there, and I get it. But I think he has endured sort of through that and has put together a couple of nice games. We need that and a whole lot more, obviously, but definitely wanted to make note of that. And the free throw thing is so interesting. I don't know if it's just about having like, hey, this Big 12 Player of the Year is down there. Let's not muck up the space. And now you don't. So there's a little more room at the rim or like willingness to get down there and attack in that way that generates some of that. I don't know, but man, what a change from what we saw at various points in this year where it's like any free throw trips today at all? I mean, remember some of those days?
Yeah, well, and that's part of the way you were playing with JT in that, it's kind of post isolation, and he's not a guy that, was gonna draw a ton of contact or anything like that.
And he's really good at it, so I'd like to give him some space.
I'm with you. I'm with you. But it's just this is a bit of a difference in style and spacing and all those things, and so they're kind of leaning into it. I mean, your tests, obviously, your remaining 3 regular season games, you've got 2 out of 3 on the road, and Ames is going to be about as tough of a place as you've played in all season, as tough as Arizona, as tough as Houston, and you're minus, you're missing JT, obviously, where you had him in those first 2. So, all of this will be stressed. And this is also an elite defensive team, especially in their building. They force like 15, 16 turnovers a game. So all of what you have seen in the last 2 will be stressed and tested, and there'll be some tense moments, and you just have to stay together and stay connected and try to keep your wits about you, which is easier said than done sometimes.
No question about that, and we've still got plenty of time this week to get ready for it. So let's not get bogged down in thinking about magical things in the state of Iowa. Hopefully for us this time around. We've made some magic there before, so looking to channel a little of that maybe from some years gone by. Chris, you were mentioning styles and kind of like varying styles. And like one style I was thinking about was where an officiating crew like called a game well. And then there was like a different style where they sucked. You're right there courtside. Which style did you feel like was showing up more often last night at the USA?
Is this I'm guessing, is this being asked? Because I had my opinions on it, and I have a bit of
being shouted more so.
Yeah.
Well, describe it a different way.
Because of the 2 calls on Christian?
Mostly, yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of folks saying, hey, if there's a thinner margin, we're like in pitchforks and torches mode if this was to have really impacted the game.
So the call in the middle of the floor where he is bringing the ball up and Mustafa Cham runs over him and they call Christian for a block, I think is the way it was. So I almost was in just shock. I'm like, I could not believe it's like driving a car, right? And anytime you run up the back of somebody and rear end them, it's almost 100% of the time it's that person's fault. Okay, you shouldn't have been so close. You should have been paying attention. Whatever. Even with a sudden stop, you just don't know what's going on in front of you. Okay, so in basketball, you're kind of thinking, is this? I mean, he's got the ball. And if I stop, he can't just run over me. That's not fair. So the angle that I'm at and the angle that Grant was at.
I'm Kalia Butler, host of Locked On Women's Basketball, and this is Mazda's Women's Basketball Snapshot, celebrating the work no highlight reel can ever capture. South Carolina rolled past Ole Miss 85-48 to clinch a share of the SEC regular season title and lock down the number 1 seed in the conference tournament. The Gamecocks extended their win streak over Ole Miss to 21 straight. UCLA dominated Wisconsin 80-60 to secure its first outright Big Ten regular season championship in program history. The Bruins improved to 27-1 overall and remain unbeaten in conference play. And number 12 TCU stormed back from a 13-point fourth quarter deficit to beat Iowa State 80-73. The Horned Frogs now sit alone atop the Big 12 standings and are 1 win away from clinching another regular season conference crown. These moments are earned off the clock, those long before the lights ever come on. The sweat, the fakes, the doubt, the scrapes, and coming back for more every time. Mazda puts that same drive into every detail. Wins define the moment, putting in the work, that defines you. There's more to a Mazda because there's more to you.
Today's episode brought to you by Indeed. And hiring isn't just about finding somebody willing to take the job. It's about finding the right person with the right background who can actually make a hand in moving your business forward. And if you want candidates who match what you're looking for, Indeed sponsored jobs is the only move to make. Instead of hoping the right person stumbles across your post randomly, Indeed helps you match with quality candidates by boosting your job listing to the people who fit your specific criteria, whether it's a skill set, specific certifications, location, or more. And that saves massive time because you're spending less energy sorting through mismatches and focusing only on those candidates who are actually a fit. Here's proof in the pudding that says it all. In the minute I've been talking to you, companies just like yours have made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with Indeed sponsored jobs. And right now, Locked On Texas Tech listeners will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. That's Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring, do it the right way with Indeed.
The angle that I'm at and the angle that Grant was at, we can't see what happened. And I had to have this explained to me after the game. So what Pat Adams explained, which is, again, on the opposite side of where I'm sitting, is that when Mustafa Cham was trying to run by, Christian takes his offhand and he kind of sticks his arm out as to not allow Cham to come by. And when he feels contact, that's when he put on the brakes. Well, it's a moving screen. It's the same kind of premise, and it's you have to let a player go by. He wasn't. I don't think he was trying to run over his back. It's just Christian. And when I was like, something is amiss here because Grant didn't necessarily lose his mind, but Christian certainly didn't react, which is not abnormal, which is what we've talked about him. But that was a call that, like, I understood after the fact. The one that I have the biggest problem with is on the fast break when he's just trying to get out of the way, and he kind of pulls the chair out, and he doesn't make a play on it. He just kind of, I think it was Day Thomas that was on the break, and Christian is just literally getting out of the way, and he gets kneed in the chest, on the layup. And then you wait for the ball to come off the rim, and then that's when the whistle hits.
Frustrating to the natives.
Yeah, those were the two that I guess were the most high profile, especially because it involves the guy that you had the bobblehead night for.
Oh, the guy we were just talking about wear and tear on a day ago.
And that he doesn't get the benefit of the doubt and all these things. But this is also what makes him really good, because I don't know if you heard my analogy, like when you throw a tic-tac at a whale, what happens? Nothing. And this is his view on it, I think. He just doesn't – I get bothered. I think our fan base gets bothered, and you should. But he doesn't let that affect him. And that's probably why he doesn't I think he'll have a very rational conversation and a very – not boisterous, no reaction, no body language change. And in a way that probably hurts him, but in a way, this is why he continues to just put up 31-11 and 7 or 8 or whatever it was, because he just doesn't get caught up into the ebb and the flow, and he just keeps going, and he probably was trying to, use a little veteran, and kind of get Chom in a foul call because he's good at that. Like if he feels leverage and he feels you on his backside, it's just he puts on the brakes. He's going to get that call. He's going to get that call a lot in the paint. It's just not in the middle of the floor when he's got his arm sticking out. So anyway, that's the explanation I got. I think that this game was not terribly officiated. Okay. I just think that those were the two calls that kind of caused a lot of the reaction, and some of the noise was justified, right? You're at home and you're trying to protect your guy and all that. But I had, after the explanation, and again, I don't have that in real time. I'm like, is there some rule that I'm unaware of? Like what is going on? And Grant, I've seen Grant lose his mind. You have too, on far less. Like, and he really didn't. He just kind of like was listening to it. And I think he felt like he had to say something. He just kept looking at Pat Adams going, that's crazy. That's crazy. I mean, he was doing it in a spicier way, but yeah. So that's, I don't know if I've answered or addressed. If you have
given us the explanation you were given from my seat on the same end of the floor as you, behind the basket, I could clearly see we were screwed on that call. No doubt about it. That was the protective halo and probably just an involuntary motion from Anderson. If his arm maybe extended,
and that's fair.
We'd have to check the tape. I'm not even so sure about that, but that guy should be run out of town and probably write a letter of apology and put it in the Lubbock Avalanche Journal if he's got some time this week.
Yeah,
okay. Thanks for the perspective on that. One more note before we do wrap this up. All Red Raider football players marked safe following the slam dunk competition. You knew there'd have to be one tense moment. Let's jump over two large men with one of our best. That was Terrence Carter. Marcus Ramon Edwards is the highlight of the night, and he is the winner. Micah Hudson can leap and is coordinated. I got to tell you, my vote was for Micah. If I'm being honest, in the moment, I thought Hudson was going to be our winner. He was showing out a little bit too.
I think people look. Micah Hudson's been like this since he was a 7th or 8th grade athlete, where he's just kind of had some freakish ability about him, and I just think that he's kind of been this mythical creature that everybody has heard his name, and you see the high school highlights, and then he's been on campus, and we are well aware of everything that he's kind of dealt with here, and you haven't seen a lot of it. Got a glimpse against West Virginia and those 2 touchdown catches and all that, but no, there's some. This is part of the reason why he was ranked so high as a prospect, because of some stuff that he can do that you just simply cannot teach. And it didn't surprise me about Marcus Ramon Edwards, just because if you can go find that highlight of him as a high school player when he like goes up on the rim and dunks it and it comes off and he's still hanging on it, and then it's just like, it didn't count or anything, but it's just like, whoa. If you could just get him with a position and all that, I mean, it's a hell of a piece of clay to try to mold, and they've been working on it, and he's had some injuries and some things like that. But
okay, the real question: where were you? Why were you not dashing out there to stop Terrence Carter? I thought, telling my wife, everever's getting nervous watching them line up.
I know. I'll tell you.
No worries, Chris has got it. He's right there. He'll stop this.
I'll tell you who I was. I was actually just about 5 seats down from where I was sitting for the broadcast, because I was doing some other stuff, and I'm right by Dusty Womble and Sheil Wood. Sheil and his wife were sitting with the Wombles last night, which are right next to me, and Sheil's filming it, and I see Terrence run over there, and he's like, "Hey, everybody, come out here!" And I'm like, "Oh boy!" Dusty Womble goes, God, can he just not go make a layup? I mean, like, you don't need anything like that, because these are investments. These people, you've invested time and dollars into these people. It's like, I don't need anything crazy, but all is well. Everything's fine. I probably didn't have a good feel for TC as my pick when he's in pants. when he walked out there and he's
Interesting
going
choice.
to
Yeah.
jump over some people. I'm like, yeah, this may not jive very well. But
We were both off. I went with Jacoby. I don't think he scored one.
Well, and the problem is you had a halftime act and all that stuff, but you're under the gun. It's like, okay, you basically got 30 seconds. Go make as many as you can. And it's like after your first one, when you miss it, it's like, you just you
getting gassed.
Yeah, you get a little less in the tank. But even some of those misses, and we're sitting here talking about, because I think Marcus and Micah were the only two that actually made one.
I think that's right.
Yeah, and so that's why we're talking about them, because they're the only ones that completed the act of a dunk.
I don't think I appreciated from my angle Marcus's reverse well enough, because I really seriously thought Hudson runaway winner, the between the legs. That's why I say he's coordinated also. If you needed breaking news, it's not just getting up and jamming it, but man, he made it look smooth between the legs.
Well, and that's the difference in, like we were talking, yesterday leading up to this, about like your Spud Webbs and your Dominique Wilkins, because there are dunkers that it's because they're smaller, and then they're like power dunkers, right? And then you saw the difference right there. But because Jacoby and Micah are guys that have to jump way up, and it's like if they do something, it's maybe impressive because they're having to jump so high, whereas like Marcus is trying to tear the rim off.
Do you know who he was jumping over?
It was all a blur.
I wasn't sure, because someone was asking if Sorsby was out there. He was courtside. He got a big ovation on the screen.
He was sitting next to. I love this about because I think they've been calling him the sheriff right now, but I love that Brendan Sorsby and Sheridan Wilson, who's the sheriff, were sitting next to each other. That is all, like a quarterback and a center. It's the battery. I love that relationship. And this is probably a whole separate episode, but like they show Sorsby on the Jumbotron, and I still think there's this weird dynamic of people know who he is, but they don't know him. He hasn't been through it here. It's like, I know your name, I know what position you're going to play, and all that. So this is the tricky life that Sorsby and really any of the senior transfer portal quarterbacks are, because they immediately pan to Sorsby, and there's some reaction, positive, right? But then they show Joey immediately afterward, and the reaction is 1,000 times different. And it's not like a knock on Sorsby. It's just there's still going to be this, because you're basically asking him, face of the program. I mean, they didn't show Terrence Carter on the Jumbotron. They didn't show Sheridan Wilson on the Jumbotron. And yes, Sorsby's got the Cincinnati angle, but it's just a weird dynamic that is being asked of these senior transfer guys, because the fan bases you hadn't been to war with them. You don't know what they're about. You haven't seen them excel and struggle and win or lose or any of it. And yet he's being dropped in here and saying, hey, lead, play well, be the face and all that. It's just an interesting dynamic. But I was like, well, this is interesting. And they show Joey, who's the ultimate juice guy, and it's like the crowd goes freaking nuts. I mean, so anyway,
it used to be strange, Chris, but it's just the nature of the beast now.
Yeah,
welcome. And within 24 hours, we need you to be a cornerstone of our program. It did used to be. I mean, we've seen it in basketball, we've seen it in football. Hadn't quite seen it with a quarterback yet, but we've seen left tackles show up. We've seen it. It's just kind of the way it is now, and still probably a big challenge. But thankfully, we've had most of it work out, and it was cool to see Sorsby and Wilson there just continuing to work on the chemistry, even down to like the concession stand. I saw him leaning over one point. He's like, green 80, green nacho, jalapeno Rick, go! And then Wilson snapping him the nacho cheese and it was nice. And I think they're really getting together. Spring camp just around the corner. Keep that in mind. Something else to keep in mind this week, Chris, when we get together on some upcoming episodes, we got to spend some combine time together, because we are ahead of what we think is going to be a historic NFL draft for the Red Raiders in number. So we'll get back to talking some of what we alluded to not too long ago as far as NFL combine opportunity being at our door. So we'll get to that and much more this week. Hope you'll join us for that. Appreciate your time as always, Chris, catching up on this win over Cincinnati. We'll see you for the next one.
Sounds good. Keep hope alive. Yeah, win number 21 on the season and win number 11 in the conference, man. It's not bad company to be keeping right there. So, we'll get into some football next time we resume play here.
And I'm glad you mentioned Bearcat football, because I apologize, Cincinnati football. I forgot you were there. It did not even cross my mind the connection with Brendan Sorsby. I forgot where he came from. I just thought he's a native of the great state of Texas and showing up to be a Red Raider.
That's
my bad, UC. We remember you're out there. Thanks a lot for the developmental efforts. We'll take it from here. For Chris, I'm Casey. Thanks as always for the time, and to the everydayers, the Matador Mob, for always riding along. Hit our show notes and find a link to a free 14-day trial. That's your direct line to Chris and myself with one-on-one text sent straight to your phone. And we hope to see you back for the next round on Locked On Texas Tech.